Lesson 7.3, Video 2, Solving for Missing Sides using Trig. Now when you use your calculators to do Trig, you're going to want to make sure of a couple things. One is you want to make sure your calculator is in degrees. And you can tell on your calculator, either in your screen you'll have the letter D or you'll have DEG. You do not want rad. Okay, that is a different unit, so make sure you're in degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to use trig ratios to make proportions in which we will cross multiply and solve. So our first one, find the missing sides. So we have two missing sides here. We'll call this one side, well, I shouldn't do that. Let's call it A and B instead. A and B. Now, if I have an angle here, angle 45. So if I'm looking from there, then side A is considered adjacent, and this is our hypotenuse. So I'm going to use sine of angle Y, and I know my angle Y, it's 45 degrees. That is equal to opposite, which would be side A, over hypotenuse, which is 2. Now we're going to make this a proportion and solve that way. So if we cross multiply, we get A equals 2 times sine 45. Now sine 45 is a value, so you can't take 2 times 45 and get 90. Sine of 45 represents a decimal. So at this time you would put in your calculator and you would punch this in as 2 times sine, and usually get a parenthesis, 45, and then enter. And that should give you a value approximately 1.41. And if it is not that case, you're going to want to talk to me or your peers and see if you entered in your calculator right. Again, usually it's wrong if you don't have it in degrees. Our next part here is to find B. Well, I can still look from Y, but I can't use sine because sine uses opposite side. But cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and adjacent is B to angle Y, and again hypotenuse is 2. So we can put this over 1 and do the same thing, which would, if we cross multiply, would give us B equals 2 cosine 45, and again cosine 45 represents a value, so don't take 2 times 45. And that should give you, again, approximately 1.41. Let's try our next one. A little blurry picture there, sorry, but we're looking for the missing side, so I'll call this, again, A and B. And let's just pick a side, or an angle. I'm going to pick this angle right here, angle J. So again, if I'm looking from there, A is opposite, B is adjacent, and 12 is hypotenuse. So how will I find A? Well, I can't use tangent for, by the way. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, and that's A and B. I don't have enough information. So we'll try what we did before. We'll go sine of 60 equals opposite, which is A, over hypotenuse, which is 12. Put that over 1 and cross multiply, which gives us A equal to 12 sine 60, and again that is a separate number. So if you punch that in your calculator, we should get A equal to approximately 10.39. If we try cosine of 60. Cosine is adjacent, so there's your b, over hypotenuse, which is 12. Put her over 1 and cross multiply. And we get b equals 12 cosine of 60. If you calculate that out, we should get b to be approximately, or actually 6. Alright, and our last one, we'll call this A and that B. Here we have one angle, we could figure out the other one, but we'll look from this angle. If I go, now notice what we know and don't know. If I look from here, I have opposite, I have adjacent, and I have hypotenuse. So if I do sine, I get A over B, opposite over hypotenuse, so sine doesn't work. So let's try cosine of 60. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that works. I have only one variable. So we'd put that over 1 and cross multiply, and we get 7 equals B times cosine of 60. And we would solve for b by dividing by cosine of 60. So b is equal to, and you would type that in your calculator as 7 divided by parentheses cosine 60. And you should get about 14, if not exactly 14. Alright, next one. Well, we couldn't use sine, so let's try tangent. So tangent of 60 is opposite over adjacent, so that one works. Put that over 1 and cross multiply, and we get A equals 7 tan 60. So A is approximately 12.12. That should work. Alright, this ends lesson 7.3, video 2.